Okay, good morning, good day, wherever you are, however you are. Hayom Yom, our wake-up call. So the 13th of Iyar. Wow, tomorrow Pesach Sheni, 14:15. Oh God, we're more than halfway through the Omer. We're almost more than halfway to Shavuos. Oh wow, Lag Boimer coming. Okay, a lot happening. 13th of Iyar. The Alter Rebbe once said, and the Frierdiker Rebbe puts in parentheses and dashes, during those years, when did he say this? He said whatever he's about to say. He said this during those years that he would say short Maimorim. When we start over Tanya, if you go back to the beginning, there's a discussion at the beginning, the forward about the evolution of the Tanya, really the evolution of Chassidus, not the evolution of Chassidus per se, but the evolution of how the Alter Rebbe developed the delivery of Chassidus. And it started with very short sayings, which were called kitzorim, just very short kitzur, very short things, and then they developed more and more. So when he used to say these short maimorim, he said a very short maimer. Maimer is a saying, right? Maimer doesn't have to be a whole composition. Maimer is a saying. So it says in Pirkei Avos, in the Ethics of the Father, which we're learning now over the summer, Da ma shemayla mimoch. It says you should know what's above you. Da, know that what is above lamayla mimoch, what's above you. And Chassidus interprets this, the following: know that everything which is above, that is everything in the supernal spheros, the divine emanations and the partsufim, all the configurations of elokus, godliness, all derives from you. So instead of saying know what's above you, it says know that what's above is from you. And this will be actually, as always, related to the theme of today's Tanya, the arousal from below. Okay, having said that, I guess we'll move to the Tanya. We're getting a new parak here, Lessons in Tanya. It's parak 47, Mem Zayin, and it starts on page 702 in Lessons in Tanya. And in Likutei Amorim, Tanya, it begins the new parak in the middle, a little bit below the middle of page 132. All right, so just to get a running start, the Alter Rebbe had told us that although it's the nature of every Jewish person to be one and part of God, and he didn't say this recently, but it's because we have the part of God within us, the nefesh elokis, the chelek elokam emal, the peace of God, so there's godliness from above. That reality is not necessarily always front and center in our consciousness. And today he's going to give us a very short, one-liner eventually, help, a very short piece of assistance in bringing that into consciousness, bringing that which is true, which is the emes, that we are connected with him, and living with it. This is Perek Mem Zayin. V'hine b'chol dar v'dar. In each and every generation, b'chol yom v'yetz, it says, b'chol dar v'dar chayav adam liros atzmai kehiru ulu yotzim min Mitzrayim. So he's saying of our sages that every generation, a person, actually Yetzias Mitzrayim was a particular generation, but it's incumbent upon every Jew throughout all the generations to see themselves, to see ourselves as if we're going out of Egypt. And the Alter Rebbe adds not only b'chol dor v'dor, now we're back in, b'chol yom v'yom, each and every day. And sometimes it's brought b'chol rega v'rega, each and every moment. A person has to see himself. Chayev odam lires atzmoi, he has to see himself. So the first key, which he's not explaining at all at the moment, but it's just the word liros, see. The Rebbe, how many times did we hear the Rebbe say, open up your eyes. Open your eyes. It's there in front of you. If you will just open your eyes. Now, he's not talking necessarily only about the physical eyes, but about the eyes of consciousness. Open up the doors of perception, so to speak. We have the capability to do that. And that's an incumbency, an obligation upon us as a mitzvah. Every person is obligated to do this. To see oneself as if one is going out today, this moment, every moment from Mitzrayim. Okay, now we're not going out of Egypt. Egypt is somewhere over there, and I'm over here. But we know, we've learned this before, the Mitzrayim has a double entendre over here. It's a physical place, Mitzrayim, but it's also the word Meitzorim, limitations and boundaries, a Meitzor. That's why Mitzrayim is called Mitzrayim, because it's a place of ultimate concealment, where godliness has been tied up in chains, so to speak, and come to the lowest level of revelation. Mitzrayim is called the Ervus Ha'olam, the nakedness, the most immoral place on the earth, because godliness is so hidden there. That's the ultimate Meitzah. That's the ultimate boundedness. So a person has to come out of that. Ayom Mitzrayim. The Hiyitzir, what is going out of Egypt for us today? It's meaning that when we're not in the physical Mitzrayim, it's coming out, taking the soul out, the godly soul, out of its imprisonment in the body, which the body, as we've learned before, is called in Tanya, mashka or mishka, mushka dekivya, the skin of a snake. The reality that we're offered is a reality that exists through the tzimtzum, through the contraction, through the obscuring of godliness, right? The tzimtzum harishon, he takes this sense of allness and he conceals that in order to reveal differentiation and diversity. And this sense of differentiation and diversity gets more front and center, and the allness is more hidden as we become lower and lower and lower into the lowest world, which is the world of Asiya. And the world of Asiya is the lowest part of Asiya, is the physical world of Asiya. So it's the place where godliness is hidden most. So the Zohar uses the metaphor, the skin of the snake. So the soul, godly soul, has come down into that level. The Echala B'yichud Or Ein Sof, and it's come down to this level in order to be included in the unity of the Or Ein Sof Al Yedei Eisek HaTorah V'Mitzvos, through occupation with Torah and mitzvahs. In other words, we've come down into the darkest place, into Mitzrayim, into ultimate Meitzar and Gevul, limitations, in order to break the chains. To break the chains, because we've learned, and we've talked about it in other places, there's an advantage of light which comes from darkness. And we'll just leave that aside for the moment. We can talk about it at the end of this if we want to. And we have been given the power to break the chains of the skin of the snake, to throw off the thick skin of the snake. And what are the tools that we've been given? The Torah and the mitzvahs, and our capability and obligation to be oisik, to make occupation with Torah and mitzvahs our business. Ubefrat, and specifically, the Kabbalah's Malchus Shemayim, when we take upon ourselves the yoke of heaven, the kingship of heaven. No accident, of course, today is Malchus Shebenetzach, so kingdom, and also Malchus means receptivity. I'm looking at the chart that I have in front of me of the various midos. One of the meanings of Malchus is receptivity, and one of the meanings of Netzach is eternality. God, Netzach Yisrael, the eternal one. So we have the capability to be receptive to the eternal, to that which is past, present, and future, right in the here and now. Malchus, and this one way, I'm just looking at my chart, receptivity to the eternality, to the always present presence, the always present presence of Hashem. And that's called taking upon oneself the yoke of heaven. Malchus Shemayim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. Not the yoke of heaven. You don't say oil Malchus Shemayim. He says kingdom of heaven here. And when do we do that? We do that every moment, but the place is designed specifically for bringing that into speech and being in consciousness is our place in davening, where we say in Krishma, Yahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levav v'chol nafshecha. You should love Hashem with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Shebo mekabel u'mamshich elav Yehudi Yisborach. That's the place where we are, of the places that we can do, which is everywhere. That's the place we're specifically designed to receive and to draw into ourselves the yoke of heaven, the Malchus of Malchus Shemayim, the kingdom of heaven, which is the unity, Yehudi Yisborach, the unity of Hashem, beferish in an explicit way, ba'oimrei, when we say, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. U'kamoshin is bor la'il, as the Alter Rebbe has explained above, Elokeinu, we say Havaya Elokeinu, the word Elokeinu, Ukame Elokei Avraham, like Hashem was Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. He was the God of them, and we explained earlier, all of the forefathers and foremothers were a chariot to Hashem. They lived in a state of open receptivity, Malchus, of the eternal all the time. Because they were entirely given over to the unity of the light of Hashem, of the light of the infinite. Abraham, he merited this through his searching, his constant search for the ultimate, as he pared away and tore away all the levels of idol worship, whether they be physical idols or the heavens. And, he said, if the sun rises and sets, it must have some kind of force that does that. It can't be a God in itself. He worked hard, tear away all the levels of obfuscation, of obscurity in the skin of the snake, and to get rid of that. And as a result, he merited to this, to be able to be one with Elokus. The Masav in his deeds and everything he did, and as he proceeded, walked the Kodesh in the steps of holiness, from one level to another. In this idea of Abraham walking, taking one step and another, breaking through, casting aside the shards and the concealments, is taken from a pasuk. Abraham journeyed. He took a journey. He took journeys into deeper levels of consciousness of himself, which enabled him to discover the God consciousness, or put it this way, the consciousness of God, which is at the heart of every Jewish person. So he journeyed. V'holach b'naseya, and as it says, Abraham Yosef, v'holach b'naseya, he went and he traveled, he journeyed. Aval anachnu, now coming back to ourselves. What's this got to do with us, right? Aval anachnu yerisha umatana hi. This that Abraham and all the forefathers and foremothers did has become, and we've touched upon this before, an inheritance, part of our so-called spiritual DNA. It's a gift, it's an inheritance, and it's a gift, hulanu, to us. Shenosan lanu es Torah, in that which God has given us is Torah. And now at the top of page Sam and Zion. In fact, God gave us a package in which he has invested himself. This is the Torah, his Torah. The Hilbish Bo, and he enclosed in this package called Torah, he enclosed in it, his will and his wisdom, Yisborach, his blessed will and wisdom, which his blessed will and wisdom are included and enveloped within him himself. So 3 steps. You have the Torah, embedded in which is God's will and wisdom, and that will and wisdom is embedded in him himself, embedded in his essence, his blessed essence. The Tachlus HaYichud, with a complete unity. So in giving us the Torah and the mitzvahs, it's as if he has given us himself. Right? This is the face that Hashem shows to the water. Back to that mashal. He has come down, mina shamayim, from the heaven to the earth, joined heaven with earth. And this is the experience that we will all re-experience, of course, on Shavuos, when the Torah is given over and over again, each and every year. But what we need to understand and bring to that experience is that Torah includes his will and wisdom, and his will and wisdom is embedded in him himself, and in that sense, he's anoichi. He has embedded his very self in the Torah. As is written in the Holy Zohar, al pasuk on the pasuk, the yichvuli truma. It says you should take for me truma, give an offering, right? The li, that word take for me, means me, kalayma oisi. So really what he's saying is take me and Torah. Because it should have said, if li means me, then the truma, then truma means Torah. It's a really two things. The yichu li, me myself, the truma, which we're saying is Torah, right? That's the offering. But since the two are one, elamishum de kul echad, therefore, but since the two are one, God and his Torah are one, so that's why we put them together. Bring to me. When you take truma, when you offer me, when you offer up to me, give to me truma, you're offering up and you're connecting with me, myself, and I. And this is what is said. V'titan lanu Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem gave to us be'ahava, he gave to us Torah's Chaim, a Torah of life, because he has embedded his life force, and which is embedded in him himself in the Torah. In the light of his face, this is what the liturgy goes on to say when we daven. In the light of your face, you have given us Hashem Elokeinu. We often, and come back to every time we see the word panecha, face, we have to think the word panimi, panim, panimi, face, and panimi, which is the innermost dimension of a person. Just like when a person, you can read a person's face and see how a person is feeling. So when you are embedded in Torah, which is what he has given over himself into, you can, as it were, see the face of God. Kiba or panecha, in the light of your face, in the light of that which you have given in your panemius in the Torah, Nasatu lanu es Elokeinu, you given to us through your Torah and mitzvahs. Well, and because of this, ein menei alonu, there's nothing interfering at all from our clinging of our soul in the unity of God's blessed of God's light, God's blessed light. And the only thing that's missing, elahu haratzon, is our will to do so. If a person doesn't want to at all, to cling to him, then there will be no experience of the clinginess and the unity. As soon as a person wants to do this, and that's what I equated earlier with the Rebbe saying, open up your eyes, you can stay asleep and still have godliness within you. But it's asleep. It's not a waking state. But if you can open your eyes, the eyes of your will and the eyes of your das, to know what we've been learning here and to bring that knowledge into heart, then one can, quote, see and be alive with the sound and the vision and the experience of godliness, which is our very nature. As soon as a person wants and takes into oneself, makabel, mamshich, and brings down onto himself godliness, and says, Elokeinu, this is our God, my God, Elokai, my God, our God, Hashem Echad, who is one with me all the time. Automatically, Nichleles nefesh b'yehudi yizborach, one's soul is included in the unity of Hashem, and he means it's always included, but there's an awareness, there's a revelation, there's an awareness, and a living with the feeling and the knowledge and the heartfelt experience of the unity of God. The ruach asi ruach. This is an expression from the Zohar. One spirit draws another spirit. So this is the arousal from below, right? We talked in the earlier chapter, having the thought that God is giving himself to you, so that should reflect back a very big love for you to him. And we use the mashal, if a king were to take an ordinary person and bring him into his innermost chambers, that ordinary person would feel very special and very special. And that's when God shows his face to the water. But here we are going to show our face to the water. There's an arousal from below, which is going to affect drawing him. When he sees us, showing a loving face to him through our oisek, our occupation, deep preoccupation in thought, in speech, in deed, in contemplation, in davening, with Torah and mitzvahs, then that spirit, Asyuruah, brings down a spirit from above, and this is going out of Egypt. And that's why you'll see, and we do see it every day, and maybe nobody thought about this, what does Yetzias Mitzrayim have to do with Shema Yisrael? Because really they're the same inyan. Even though Krishma is one mitzvah of the Torah, and Chayiv Odom Liretz Atzma Ke'ilu Yitzay Mitzrayim, and our person is obligated to go out of Egypt, is another mitzvah. The two are very much connected. If you want to Shema Yisrael, if you're interested in hearing, their hearing, bringing deep into yourself the awareness of God, it's through the work on yourself of going out of Egypt all the time, of breaking apart the Mishke Dechivya, the thick snake of the obfuscation of godliness, which is this world, the natural state of this world. So the two are connected. Even though Krishma and Yetzias Mitzrayim are two separate mitzvahs, Yetzias Mitzrayim is not part of the mitzvah of Krishma, as the Gemara discusses this, and the Poskim and the ones who make the halacha, they discuss this, that the two are two different mitzvahs. However, since they are one and the same, that through the work of going out of the Mitzorim and paring away the thick skin of the snake, one is able to bring awareness of the yichud, of the Elokus, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, into one's soul, and into one's eyes and ears and daily experience. So they are Dava Arched Mamish. They're one thing. And we also note that the end of the parsha of going out of Egypt, we conclude with saying Ani Hashem Elokechem, which is the reverse. That meaning that in Yetzias Mitzrayim we mention Hashem Elokeinu, which is the same thing we mentioned Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So from both views, from the perspective of Shema, Yetzias Mitzrayim is part and parcel of that. From the perspective of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Shema is part and parcel of that, as is explained, Gam Shenis Bor La'il, as explained above. So the point of this is that though it's a fact that one, Baruch Hashem, cannot get away from, that godliness is implanted in each and every one of us with a godly soul, there is the opportunity to experience that. And by simply opening up our eyes, by simply, this gesture of wiping the crumb out of your eye in the morning, is a gesture of thinning out the mishka dechivya, thinning out the thick skin that covers godliness. And how? Through oisik Torah b'mitzvahs, through making Torah and mitzvahs our business with intentionality and with the will. That's the key to this whole chapter. With the will, knowing that it's there, I'm opening up my will and power of my ratzon to bring it into my heart. And it's there for the taking. That's today's Tanya. Questions? Comments? Yeah. Who's somebody?
It's me, Elisheva.
Elisheva, okay.
Yesterday I was listening to just randomly to Ayin Beis by Simon Jacobson, and he was discussing the Rebbe's brother, Yisrael Aryeh Leib, whose yahrzeit or birthday, yahrzeit?
Yes, his yahrzeit is today. Yeah.
Is today. So by chance, yesterday I heard him talk about how his brother could explain Hasidus without using any Hasidic words. He was able to relate the use of Hasidus in our everyday lives. So when the Alter Rebbe here says that every single day, every single moment, we have to remember that we are coming out of Mitzrayim, that could help us with our moment-to-moment decisions that we make. Like Yehuda Schneider says, the lahat acher v'mitapechet, the revolving sword that doesn't let us enter Gan Eden and Olam Haba, and you have to. It's like a video game. You have to know how to get between the revolving sword,
right.
And how do you do that? By moment to moment, remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim and maneuvering through the Mishcha Dechivya, the covering that doesn't allow us to remember that we are actually manifestations of Hashem, and that our decisions right at this moment with this person in front of me, or what I'm going to do now, anyway. So
I hear you.
Yeah.
I like the word maneuvering. It connotes in my simple mind, we're also soldiers, right? Soldiers in the army of Hashem. And I'm thinking of maneuvering through the high grass and the obstacles of the enemy in the trees attacking. You have to be a little stealthy, with eyes wide open, very diligent. Remember, we can learn 7 things from a thief. Always looking out for the obstacles, and they're there wherever we are. But yeah, there is a pathway through and to. Very nice.
That's my uvechein for Yetzias, for knowing every moment that we're Yetzias Mitzrayim.
Amen. Good. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? Any questions? Somebody had, yeah.
I just wanted to mention, probably everybody knows this, but well, first of all, Elisheva, that was so nice. That reminded me of also that thing of walking between the raindrops. I always like that one. Yeah. But also the connection between the Shema, between the open your eyes of Shema and the daily leaving of Egypt is Hashem has designed it for us very, very literally, very physically. We probably all know this, in Egypt versus Israel. In Egypt, you just have to look to have everything grow and develop. Or you just need to look down. Just look down into the Nile, and it floods, and all the crops are watered. Whereas in Israel, the Jews, we have to look up. We have to look up, and we have to daven, because as it says in the Shema, that's the only way the rains will come and nourish us.
Beautiful. Very nice. Thank you. Well, great. Anybody else? Well, fine. Words to live by. Hayom Yom today. Thank you. So we'll see you tomorrow, all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.